Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well. Sorry for the slight delay. Had to reboot toss, which should be popping up any second. There we go. While we wait on that to load, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our economic calendar. All right. Today at 8:30 we have some housing starts, building permits. Tomorrow is the big day with the FOMC meeting and Powell speaking at 2:30. On Thursday we have our normal jobless claims, some current deficit, and then on Friday we have PMI. So, let's go ahead and dig in. Yesterday, ES opened near our outer shaded region and near squeeze bottom. For us, that is a great spot to go long per our system. So we went long at open, carrying that up to our key levels at 38.78 and then 3900. That's where we locked in our longs, started to short back to that 38.78 and our burger bottom, our bottom shaded region in that opening range. We held that, locked our shorts and started going long again and carried that up into the end of the day. I think I called out those the 385s on SPY. That went about 80-90 cents up to $3 in that run up. In fact, played the same strike, 385s up, 385s back down, the puts, and then 385s back up again on SPY. Gonna go ahead and get rid of our beast system. But I will point out that we are slowly slipping down to that outer shaded region. So we might be starting right near that outer shaded region and right near yesterday's open. So looking for that to be a zone of support for continuation. If we go ahead and remove this beast tool, overall you'll see our key levels. We moved from our key zone below through that 38.78, which kind of cut in the middle, up to that 3900. Then we went beyond to that 39.22. We tried to hold that overnight, starting to slip back. Tried to hold 3900, starting to slip further. The simple premise today was going to be, can we hold 3900 and push back up to yesterday's highs and overnight highs? But we've already started to give out 3900. And the premise would have been, if we give out 3900, likely coming back to this 38.78. Should that give out, then down to our zone below. So, going into today, let's see where we are closer to open. We do have a little bit of economic data coming out in 20 minutes. Ultimately, if we can hold that 38.78, looking to do the same journey that we did yesterday afternoon, back up through 3900 on our way to 39.22. And our next level, that 39.41, the daily 8 has come down to meet it. So overall, that's upside target today. But if we slip and start to lose 38.80, 38.78, then we can come right back down to this zone of support and this second Keltner to the downside. 38.55, 38.43, 38.40. On NQ. Kind of the same thing yesterday. We held our squeeze bottom and that second Keltner to the downside and pushed our way up almost to that first Keltner, which now overlaps our 12,100. We're on a slight drip back this morning. Let's see if 11,900 can provide support like it did midday for that push higher. If we can hold there, looking to get back above 12,000, work our way to 12,100. We have the daily 8 just a hair above that, and the daily 15 up at our next key level of 12,250. If we lose 11,900, then likely coming back to test 11,800, that second Keltner, and our next key level at 11,677, just below that psych level of 11,700. On the ready. On the ready, we almost made it back to the daily 8 pre-market, having our pull back. Looking for that psych level 1800 to provide support like it did yesterday midday. If we can hold 1800, then it's a fight back, just like we did midday, from 1800 up to this 1831, where the daily 8 sits, 1840, where the daily 15 sits, and if we really want to keep pushing, 1855, where that daily 21 sits. We closed around 1820-ish. Yeah, we can absolutely get all the way up here on a regular ATR. If we lose 1800, then we're coming back to retest 1780, and that second Keltner down at 1767. On YM, made a nice push off that daily Keltner and squeezed bottoms from this 30,600 all the way up through 31,000 and beyond. Topped out at about 31,200 and coming back, let's see if about 30,850 to 900 can give us support back at where we bounced midday yesterday. We defended that 850 twice and then took off. So looking for the same thing to provide support. If it gives out, then likely back to where we started yesterday around 700. We have that second Keltner around 650. And we have a little squeeze bottom here, a 4-hour, that started to pop up around 30,600. Kind of back near the lows of this week so far. But if we can find support there, looking to get back above 31,000, back through yesterday's high, on our way to that daily 8, which sits at 31,300, we can call it. Looks like the top of that 4-hour squeeze is around 31,400, and we have a couple of key levels and moving averages above if we can get some continuation. One thing we could do is draw some trend lines. kind of there. And that could be fixed up a little bit. Like this. There we go. So we can slip that trend line just enough to come down and test this 850, 900. If we can hold above that trend line, we don't even need to go test those. That's very nice and bullish. We can keep going to the upside. So yeah, going to put a little alert on that, just to let me know around open if we start to test it, to keep an eye on it. Apple. Apple Friday did a great job holding our zone here. Slipped below that 149 just a little, but ultimately pushed off of it. Yesterday, pre-market, we were opening right near it, so we were bullish and long on Apple. Those 150, 152s, even the 155s provided great returns yesterday as Apple fought its way from our zone below back up to our key zone above. Only slipping a hair below it, pre-market. Let's see if this 152.5, 153 can provide support. I'm always looking at left, and I can see that we bounced around 152.5. What used to be resistance. We ran to it, pulled back, got through it, turned it into support. So looking for that to be support this morning. If that starts to give out, then we're talking about coming back to 151 and then 150, 149. But if we can hold up at that 152.5, 153, goal is to push through our zone here. The daily 8 is right at the top of that zone, likely stepping down just a hair today. And then through that, we got the daily 15 and daily 21 at 156, 158. We'll need to get through those to get up to our 159.5 where the daily 50 sits, and just a hair above 160 we have the daily 200. Let me just double check. Come on. Oh, come on, Toss. There we go. Yes, it is the daily 200 up above there. Gonna switch this to the 100 just to see where they are sitting on each name. We know the 200's above on most names, and we are way below it. Our 100 is now below us, right at about that 152.5. Sorry, I just saw that someone said screen's a little blurry. Let me bump up our text so you guys can see it a little better. There we go. Hopefully that's a little clearer for you guys. Come on, tools. Load on in here. One thing to note on a 4-hour time frame with our moving averages, like I love to cover with you guys, we did fight up to the 4-hour 21. We have rejected and slipped back below overnight. So first things first is getting back to that 21, which is around 1916, and then that 45, which is up at 39.45-ish. So ultimately, as long as we are above that daily 100 at 152.5, let's call it, or near there, we should be looking to buy the dip and go long. If we start to break below that daily 100, then we're talking about back to our zone below, back to 150 for a test. AMD. You know, had a nice pop yesterday, but just from a key level to a key level, and then stopped. Did fight back, but now we're right back in the middle. So the range has been set, the squeezes are setting in, play this range until it breaks. Overall, chips are taking a break, so I take a break on chips. But it should be pretty clear from my levels. We get through 77, 78.3. If we slip below 76, back to 75 and a quarter, 75, yada yada. Play the range till it breaks. Amazon on Friday held that daily 100. Should have been a good sign that if we open back at it to go long. Amazon made a nice push yesterday, pushed a little more towards the end. I believe some folks in the room played those 125s that moved decent. On Amazon, let's see if our little trend line from yesterday's pullback, setting that little low and then higher low. Let's see if that trend line can hold when we get near open. And as long as we can stay above 123 where we bounced, we can continue this journey up with the goal of getting through yesterday's high overnight highs around 125, 125 and a half. Push through this squeeze top, 2-hour squeeze top around 126. In a bid to get back to the daily 8, 127 and a half, daily 15, 128, daily 50 and 21, right near psych level of 130, right near where we sold off last week. If we start to lose that trend line and lose 23, then we're coming back to the daily 100 and into these squeeze bottoms near that near that second Keltner down at about 120 and a half, psych level 120. BA. Decent push up yesterday. Did not fight back, but look at this little gap up we got in BA. This is very nice and bullish for BA and the market. Going to draw a little trend line from Friday's lows up through yesterday's pullback. You can see it pre-market, that's where we're bouncing. So as long as we stay above this trend line, we're looking good to the upside. We are at the daily 100. Let's see if we can hold trend line and get through the daily 100, get through this 148 that we rejected pre-market near these squeeze tops. If so, we can fire these lower time frame squeezes to the upside with the goal of getting back to this daily 8 around 150 and this 4-hour squeeze top up around 151 and a half. Past that, we're looking to get back to the daily 21. And if we give up that trend line, then it's back to 144 and 142, back at the bottom of this week's lows and the bottom of those squeezes. Cat. Nice strong day for Cat yesterday. I've been noticing Cat can be decently strong on a Monday. Didn't do so much last Monday, but it was after a big run. Nice fight back above that first Keltner, the downside. So let's see if we can continue to hold that around 181, 180 and a half. If we can hold that support and keep pushing through yesterday's highs around 152 and a half, we're looking to get back to the daily 8, 153 and a half, the daily 15, 154 and a half, and the daily 50 and 21 are overlapped, providing a good target and magnet up near that 186. If we start to give out that 180 and a half, we can roll back to about 179 and then 178 and back to the lows of this week. Google. Google decently strong, did not break down at all, and then once it got through this wall at 102 and a half, pushed on up above 103. We are back at 102, 102.5. We need to turn that back into support. So if we can quickly get back over 102.5, looking to complete the same journey as yesterday, to get back up to these squeeze tops around 103.5, 104. And if we can push back past that, up to 105 where the daily 8 sits. But if we keep looking weak and give out 102, then we are coming back to retest yesterday's lows around 101.5, 101, and psych level of 100 below. GS, nice day yesterday. Held VWAP, went right back to highs. Almost got back to this 330 after opening right near 320.5. So nice push yesterday on GS. Not sure if anyone in here played it. For today, looking to stay above this first Keltner at about 325.5. Call it, maybe even call it 325. As long as we can hold there on a dip, looking to get back up above 128, 129, back to, 328, 329, back to 330, where that daily 8 and daily 50 sit at the top of the squeeze. If we can get through that, then 334, where the daily 21 and the top of a 4-hour squeeze sits. Looks like we also have a daily squeeze that we're coming off the bottom of yesterday. The top of that daily squeeze way up here past recent highs at 348. If we give out that 325, then likely coming back to 323, 322 at the bottom of this squeeze. JPM, same thing. Nice strong day yesterday. Fought from the daily 50 up to the daily 100. And our squeezes have set in around that. So we could very likely on JPM today reject squeeze tops, come back to these moving averages, and basically chop around this range between 116 and 118 where all of these moving averages are stacked. Just like we have for about a week, we could see the same thing going into FOMC. Meta. Weak. Kind of got going yesterday, but already back. Not too far from yesterday's lows. Let's see if 145 can provide support like it did yesterday. If we dip down to it, we're going to go from 145 back through 148 in a bid to get to 150, 154, where the daily 8 sits. But if we start to give out 145, 144, then we're coming down to 140, where that third Keltner, the downside, sits. Microsoft. It was trying to lead to the upside, then definitely led to the downside, setting new lows from the last couple of weeks, but then fought back up and closed right near that high from the morning. We're right back down. Let's see if 141.5 can provide support with the goal of pushing back up through 244 and a bid to get to 246 at the top of the squeeze back through yesterday's and overnight's highs. If we keep slipping below 241.5, then we're coming to test the lows and psych level of 240 down at the bottom of that squeeze. Netflix pushed way too hard pre-market, opening up in the top of a bunch of squeezes. So it was a pretty easy short. Right on back to 240, 235, 236. And then she fought back above 240, closing near that 243.5. Oh, let's see if 240 can provide support. Used to be resistance, and tried to be support in the morning, but finally gave out. Now that we're back above, let's see if 240 can be support now. We could push from 240 back on up to yesterday's pre-market high and that psych level of 250. We are at the top of a daily squeeze, so wouldn't be surprised for a reversal back to these moving averages. If we give out 240, then we're coming to retest yesterday's lows around that 236. If that gives out, and 235 psych level, then we're coming to test the daily 8 and daily 21 down near 230. NVIDIA compared to AMD showing a little strength, breaking out of this range yesterday, held 130, got up to about 135. So looking if we have a dip for 130 to continue to provide support. This 131.5 where we bounced midday, also looking for that to be support. If we can find our legs there and keep moving higher, looking to get through 135. This daily 8 just above at 135.5. And if we can get through there, then it's up to this first Keltner and daily 15 that overlap right near 140. QQQ. Decently strong yesterday. Made its way back above 290. Now slipping back, pre-market. Let's see if 288, 287 can provide support. It's where we bounced yesterday, midday. If we can find support there, then it's a goal to get back through 290, 292, and through this trend line from highs of a couple of weeks ago to get back to this 295 where the daily 8 and that first Keltner sits. Close around 291. We can get past 295 today. Yeah, we could even make it back to this daily 15 on a good push at 298. But if we start to give out that 288, 287, then we're coming back to retest 286, 285. And maybe even 284 at the bottom of this 4-hour squeeze. Anything past that, we're talking 280, where that third Keltner sits. SPX. So yesterday, pretty much out of the gate was getting back to filling the gap. We even got up to fill the previous gap from Friday. In the morning push, that's about where we topped out in the morning, near that Thursday low. Pulled back to that daily Keltner to find support, and then pushed back up for new highs and to completely fill that gap from Thursday. We'll be dealing with another gap down about 30 points, so I'm back near this bounce point that we had midday and this second Keltner to the downside. Let's see if that can provide support. Looking to push back up above 3880, back to 3900, with a bid to get to this zone above where the daily 8 sits, if we can get bullish and strong and take out yesterday's highs in that 3900 level. If this 3960, 3955, 3860, 3855, sorry, starts to give out, then we're back to the lows around 3840, bottom of the squeeze. And should last week's lows give out, we might be talking about down to 3800 and that third Keltner, which sits near 3781. SPY. Oh, all too zoomed in. There we go. SPY held squeeze bottoms, fought up to this zone that I created a while back. We were looking for this zone to provide support. It actually did. What is that? 2 weeks ago. Provided support and started that rally up. Then we fell back to it. Looking for SPY to get back above this zone and turn it into support to start another drive up, right? But we rejected that zone. We did fight into it and to the top of it. Now we're falling back down. So on SPY today, looking for that second Keltner right at around 384.5 to provide support if we keep slipping. Looks like we're sort of starting to catch a little bounce since that economic data came out at 8:30. Starting to get a teensy bit of a bounce. Let's see if it can carry us back up to 3,900, or if we keep slipping and open near that 38.78. But on SPY, looking for this daily Keltner to provide support, get us through this zone in a bid to get back to the daily 8 above. And that first Keltner around 392, 393. If we can get that, if we can get through that, 395.8, the last point that we sold off from. If we start to give out that daily Keltner, that 384.5, we can come back to test yesterday's lows, this week's lows, around that 381.5, 382. Should that give out 380, and then 377, where that third Keltner sits. Tesla continuing to be nice and strong. Those 300s, 305s yesterday were a great trade. I think some folks in here hit the 305 since we opened like right at 300. But 305s provided some great upside. And Tesla still trying to be a leader. We bounced midday at that first Keltner up around 304.5, 305. So let's see if that can continue to provide support in a very strong name. If we can continue to the upside, take out yesterday's highs, we do have a 4-hour squeeze top here around 312, 311.5. And if we can get past that, 315, where that second Keltner to the upside sits. If we start to give out, 305, 304.5, that first Keltner. Then we're coming back to 300, where the daily 8 sits, and past that, 295, where the bottom of the 4-hour squeeze and the daily 21 sits. UVXY. Talked about yesterday, for us to see upside in the market, we needed to reject this zone and come down to these daily moving averages. That's exactly what we got. So, and we got under $10. Right now, we are fighting back above $10 and right near this 10.2. 10.2 was a key level yesterday where we bounced a couple of times, but then it ultimately gave out. So, we're upside in the market today, looking for UVXY to reject and stay under 10.2. And roll back over under 10 and start making our way through yesterday's low, through this 4-hour squeeze bottom, around 9.8, in a bid to get back to 9.5, 9.3, where that first Keltner to the downside sits. But if we're going to see some downside in the market and try to engulf yesterday, then we're going to see UVXY get through this 10.2, 10.4, the last spot that we rejected, in a bid to get back to this daily 50 and above 10.5 to fight back to this zone and 11 at the top of the squeeze. But as long as we can stay under 10.4, 10.2, we can get some decent upside today. On VIX, yesterday, talked about for upside in the market, we needed to get back below 27.5. That happened very quickly, so that gave us confluence to the upside, right? We dipped, we got underneath that key level and underneath the pre-market lows quickly. So we were long from that point. And I talked about wanting to see VIX get back down to these daily moving averages. That's what we got, but now we're on a nice bounce trajectory. So for upside in the market today, looking for VIX to stay under 27. Once we got under it yesterday, we never got back above it midday. We rejected it. So looking for that same rejection around 27, head back below 26.5, back to 26, and these daily moving averages. Hopefully down to yesterday's lows and the bottom of this squeeze. We also have the daily 21 right at 25 at the bottom of a 4-hour squeeze. Hey. Use left axis. Yeah, bottom of that 4-hour squeeze down at the daily 21. So for upside in the market, looking for us to stay under 27 and roll on back to 25 if possible. Kind of carrying this down channel that we find ourselves in further down. But if we're going to roll over in the market and start to engulf yesterday, we'll probably see VIX get over 27 and this trend line quickly, and then work its way up to 27.5, 28, back up to last week's highs at this 2-day squeeze top, 4-hour squeeze top. Kind of opening in the middle of this 4-hour squeeze. Let's see if that trend line can give out and we can head back down to the bottom of this channel. Or if we pop quickly through the top of this channel, we'll have a very good understanding of if we're going to see upside or downside. I like where VIX is about to open. So hopefully this was helpful for everybody. We'll see you guys today in the chat. Remember, we have FOMC tomorrow. Don't overtrade today. If there's one thing I can ask for you guys, don't overtrade today. Just take a few shots, save your ammo for FOMC tomorrow. We know there's going to be some decent moves coming off of it. But yeah, good luck today, everybody. Remember, no beast, no feast, and we will see you in the chat.